It is spring in Seattle, which is like the most beautiful time of year in like one of the most beautiful places in the US. I wanted to make a video talking through what it's like being a small YouTuber in specifically the food space, but also just general YouTube. I love watching the videos of people talking through like, here's how much money I've made, here's my views, here's my monetization, here's all that. Like, I love that. I eat those up. I feel like there's not the person who's recently been monetized talking through what that's like and what are the highs, what are the lows. It's a weird place to be where you're a little bit smaller. However, you're trying your hardest to make this thing work. And I just wanted to be really honest and vulnerable and talk with you guys about this entire process, this entire experience, how I got here, why I decided to leave my job. And I'll give you guys the fun stuff. Like, I'll give you guys numbers. I'll talk through how much I've made and just be hands laid bare, open-handed with all of this data and all this information, because for me, as someone who is less than 1,000 subs, I really, really wanted to know kind of what happens once you've crossed that threshold. The truth is, getting to 1,000 subs is really, really difficult and really hard. So if you're under that number, be encouraged. You're not alone in experiencing the hardship of that, especially for me, who I'm still kind of walking in the trudges of trying to figure out growth. And it is hard, it is difficult. And so know that that difficulty is seen and felt, and I feel it. And everybody who's way, way further past where I am has felt it too. Nobody gets to where they are without having any sort of like hardships and difficulties to go through. This is me talking through 8 months of full-time YouTube monetization, whatever we're calling it. Here it is. I knew I wanted to do YouTube a really, really long time ago. I've got journals back from like 2014, 2015, talking about cooking ideas, video ideas, a couple series. Most of them are back from like 8 years ago, which is crazy. It's fun having that journal to look back on and realize like this is all stuff that I've dreamt about for a long, long time. I grew up in the age where I started seeing people get big on YouTube, watching cooking stuff. It was like Food Wishes, and then Babish started becoming really big, and he like upped the game on really what looked good for food YouTube. When I was a kid, I knew that I wanted to cook for people. I wanted to be a chef. As I got older, I saw that life and the commitments you make, and you work doctor's hours and get paid barely anything at all. And so I kind of made the decision, like, I want a family and I want to get married and I want to be there for that, and not just be working to the bone, crazy hours, and being paid very little. And if you do that, that is amazing. That is outstanding. I really, really genuinely applaud you. I went the easy route to cook online on the internet. So when I could see that those two things could be melded, it just like immediately clicked, like, oh my gosh, I can still cook for people. I can still kind of achieve the same thing, just you in a screen and me over here. It still feels like I'm cooking for you, and it still feels like we're connecting, which is really, really fun. And I love that. That was the starting process. But honestly, I was way too afraid to even like take that first step. Fear is a big part of this whole journey. I have zero background in film and video editing. I knew that whatever I produced in the beginning was not going to be very good. And that fear of starting genuinely kept me from starting. A long time ago, probably back in like 2019, there was a Brothers Green. So shout out to actually Brothers Green, now Pro Home Cooks. They had this like cooking video challenge for you to produce a video and send it in to them, and they would like post the best video. And that was the kind of push that I needed to like start doing it and to make a first video, which was really, really fun. In all honesty, it's very, very funny and just not a good video in general. During 2020, I lost my job and I hadn't really made a video yet that actually I put out into the world. And so I had extra time during the job search, and I figured, okay, now is as good of a time as any to start making these videos. So I produced my first video, put it out. I think I'm still proud of it. I don't know, you can go watch it. It's a very old and not great video. Again, I didn't know what I was doing. It is my goal to never delist, never unlist, and never privatize those first videos, because it's weird to go through someone who's like a big channel, look at their old stuff, and the first video that they've got is like really, really good. And you're like, is this really where they started? They got rid of all of the old bad videos beforehand, and now their first video is really, really good. I never want to do that, because you guys should be able to see the fact that I started somewhere, and everybody has to start somewhere, because in all honesty, it's really scary to start. And so hopefully that can be encouraging for you if you're kind of sitting on the other end of this wondering, should I do this? Should I start? What if the first one's bad? Like, it may be. It took me a very long time to even produce something that like I felt like was decent. A little side note about the journey itself, but that's where everybody really starts from, and that's where I started from. 2020 went by, I produced a couple videos. My wife and I lived in Dallas at this point, and our kitchen had like zero natural light, and I didn't know how to use the camera, and so in general, it just doesn't look very good. Again, I'm gonna keep those videos up so you guys can see them. However, they're not like up to where I would want them to be. 2021 happened, I produced some videos, and those videos still are not amazing. However, you can sort of see the progression of them getting a little bit better and a little bit better. All this time, getting probably a couple 10, 20 subs a month or so maybe. So it's a really, really slow growth pattern for the first 2 or so years of it. So by the time 2022 rolled around, I was not yet monetized. However, I kept feeling the pull to like, my videos are getting better. If I could put more effort into this, maybe it would grow faster. I saw where the trajectory was going and it was pretty slow. And I figured, okay, maybe if I make twice as many videos, 4 times as many videos, is it gonna grow 4 times faster? Like that was a question that I had. Something that people don't often talk about with this type of creative endeavor is just kind of the privilege and background that sort of goes into it. That's super behind the scenes that you have to kind of be aware of. My wife has always made more money than me. I'm very upfront about that. I'm not like ashamed of that. It's a pretty amazing thing. And so to be in a place where I can take a step back and take a step away from my job to pursue this full time without making a ton of money is crazy. And it's a massive privilege and it's a massive blessing. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel very blessed and privileged to be able to even make the decision to leave my job before this was a full-time money-making thing. And I want to be very upfront with you guys about that. Because again, you're going to see the numbers in a little bit and you're going to say, oh shoot, like that's not a ton of money anyways. What the heck is going on? We were able to go to her salary and basically stay off that for some time. And also there was I think it was a podcast with Ali Abdal where he was talking about if you've got the opportunity when you're younger to take a risk like this, and if you're in a place where you don't need that money from your salary right now to live, to pay rent, are you going to miss that money in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now? Okay, I can leave this job, let go of that little bit of money that we're just kind of putting away right now and risk it on this YouTube thing. That led to the decision in June of 2022 to leave my job and pursue this full time. Again, I could see where it was going and I could see the pace at which it was growing, and I just wanted to really escalate that growth. So the same month that I left my job, I actually was monetized, which was a huge, huge blessing. It was like kind of a good sign of, okay, at least you're gonna have something sort of coming in, which is really, really sweet. I was very, very grateful for that. So I've been monetized for 8 months now, and I've been doing this full time for the same amount of time. And there's a lot of learning and a lot of ups and a lot of downs that come with that. And so what I want to do is just sort of break it up into like the highs of doing this, the really fun stuff, the stuff that's amazing, the stuff that's really easy to talk about, and kind of the lows, the stuff that I don't really see talked about that often, the stuff that keeps you up, the loneliness, the like difficulty of this whole thing. That's there too. Both of those exist at the same time, and they're kind of butting heads, but they're also in the same room talking to each other. And I don't know where this metaphor breaks down, but they're there. They're both there. So let's, I guess, start with the more fun, the highs of doing this. The day-to-day actual work that I'm doing, I absolutely love. It is so much more fun and satisfying to be not just answering emails all day or solving problems that aren't really helping anybody. Like my day-to-day, I get to wake up and I keep a pretty consistent schedule. So I wake up and I usually start my day around 8 or 9 to actually like get in the day and work. And I get to either edit a video that I'm working on, plan and recipe test. So I may be like in the kitchen that day. I may film a new video. I may be writing. Like there's a ton of different fun little aspects of creative work that I get to do, that I get to have my hand in. And I've worked in a couple startups before, and so you get used to wearing a bunch of different hats. Doing that for yourself is super, super fun and really satisfying. So I love that aspect of it. I absolutely love the fact that part of my day may be on a computer working, writing, part of my day maybe making enchiladas, part of my night maybe doing some filming just because I felt like filming that night and felt like working. Some days I may not want to work and it's a Tuesday, and that's okay too. Like it's a cool thing to be able to choose my work, enjoy the work that I'm doing, and that is really amazing and a huge, huge blessing. And something that I didn't get out of the jobs I've had before. My past resume is a little bit weird. I've done a ton of different odd jobs. I've done bookkeeping, I've done sales, I've done like partnership stuff for software. And so there's all of these different things that I feel like I've been collecting and picking from different places over the years. I've really enjoyed the fact that all of those different things now I sort of almost kind of do. And I like getting to do that on top of cooking and making food and giving food away to friends because I've got extra stuff in the kitchen. All of that is really cool and really fun. I love that aspect of it. My day-to-day is very, very satisfying and very fun. Another high that's here is I get to work for myself. I mentioned that I've had a ton of different jobs over the years, and I've seen some things in other companies that it's like, man, I wish I could do this myself because I feel like I'd do it differently. And the entire process of starting a business is something that I just never done before, but I knew I wanted to do, and I knew I wanted to be working for myself. And that process is really also quite satisfying. It's more responsibility, which means you can't really I don't know if slack off's the right word, that sounds really aggressive, but you can't really slack off. You are the only person that's doing it, and you have to answer to yourself. And at the end of the day, you have to look at the work that you did and say am I proud of this? Did I do stuff? Which has forced me to think about what I do a little bit more operationally. My dog's behind the glass, staring and stomping her feet. Hey, Lana. Hey, buddy. Another high that you get from doing this, and this is one that's very, very, very specific to cooking YouTube, is I get to make a ton of good food pretty regularly. And I get to give that food away, we get to eat it, I get to test it, I get to push myself in ways that I've never gotten to do so before. I get to study, for example, if I put time into reading and researching about a specific culture, a specific dish, that time is put to good use. I'm not just wasting time and slacking off. It is part of this job, which I really, really enjoy. And it's something that I would do in my free time anyways. And now it's something that kind of adds in stacks onto this thing that I'm doing for an actual job, which is fun, which is really, really cool. So highs, there are a lot. To wrap up the high section, I guess, it is immeasurably fun and satisfying to work for myself and to do something creative and not just feel like I'm turning a wheel for somebody else. And no one's really gonna notice when I'm gone that nothing's getting done. That's just deeply sad to me, and now deeply satisfying to do. Okay, on to the low section, which hopefully is not a downer. I feel like I want to be very open-handed and very upfront and honestly just vulnerable with you guys about the hardships of doing this. I feel like people don't really talk about what the actual difficulties of doing this are outside of oh, it's hard to get noticed and it's hard to get more views and it's hard to make more money. Yes, those things are true, but what is happening within your heart and within your mind when you're doing this thing? First thing that I noticed pretty early on is not having coworkers is a weird thing. And it's it's pretty noticeably lonely in a couple ways. So you don't have coworkers around to really talk through ideas, to ideate. You don't go into meetings with people. There's not really much breaking up your day when it comes to other people interaction, especially when you work at home. This is something a lot of people experienced during COVID in general. However, embarking on doing YouTube work, you just realize there is nobody else to talk to about this. It's nice that I'm married and my wife and I can talk through this, but she can't be the only person that I ideate with, and she can't be the only person that I go to with work-related stuff, because that's a lot, that is a burden to put on her. It's hard to go into work and not have anybody really to talk to. I noticed really early on that I wanted to set up monthly meetings with my old bosses. So I meet with my last two bosses that I had at past jobs just once a month to basically talk through things, because I don't get that one-on-one, face-to-face time with other people. There's some good that comes from working for yourself, like I mentioned earlier, and you get really good at self-managing. However, you also don't get to kind of bounce ideas off of other people, and you don't get to talk to other people about how you're doing in that same way. Along with that loneliness, it's also hard to relate to people when it comes to just general job stuff. YouTube is a weird game. A lot of people don't understand what you're doing and how or why or how you even get paid or anything like that. And it makes sense. It's a weird thing. You just make videos and put them out on the internet, and the answer is kind of yes. It's a little bit weird when you talk about work because you don't really know what to say, because you're kind of working for yourself. You're kind of making videos, you write, you do a lot of different stuff. And all of that is boiled down to I make videos for the internet, which can feel a little bit reductive. So it kind of makes those conversations a little bit different. It's hard when you personally are so invested and so attached to the work that you do. I mean, work is 8 to 9 hours of your day anyway, so it's pretty easy to get identities sort of wrapped up in those things. However, when you are the work, you are the product, ultimately I'm pitching and selling myself to you guys. That's a weird thing, and there's a lot of identity wrapped up in that, and you also don't want your entire identity wrapped up in that. And all of that's hard to encapsulate in a quick conversation at a bar or conversation at a coffee shop or a quick oh, so what do you do? makes it difficult. Maybe I'm being pedantic and complaining a little bit in that sense, but like in general, it is pretty lonely here. I immediately noticed the lack of coworkers. I immediately noticed that. I try to go to my wife with everything, and that's something that I can't do. Like I can't just put all of that on her. And that's something that you get past and get through, but it does feel very, very different than like any other job that I've had. And that's hard. I guess that's like the hardest of the hard things. This specifically is way more for YouTube related to food, and not every YouTuber runs into this, but my eating schedule is bad and weird, and I don't really know what to do with that. For example, in a normal day, you would eat breakfast, maybe, if you're a breakfast person. I'm usually not. I kind of replace it with coffee, which again, not super healthy. You have lunch, you have snacks, you have dinner, where now I think about and I cook food so often that I'm like either snacking or eating halfway throughout the day. My stomach feels pretty messed up a lot of the time because, like I said, I'm kind of surviving on coffee and like breakfast of empanadas or like something really, really savory that I've been working on that's like half ready, half not ready. You're filming, and on film days, I don't really eat very much at all. When you spend so much time thinking and cooking food, you don't often want to just like cook dinner and make it a normal night. It's a weird thing. And I feel bad often because I'll have made something that we've eaten like multiple times already because I'm recipe testing something, and maybe neither of us really want to eat it that night. This is such a like first world problem to have. But it's something that's real and something that I feel pretty often of, just like my eating habits are super messed up. There's a good scene in The Bear where he like comes home from a long shift, and not comparing what I do to being a chef at all, because it's not, it's very, very different. Mine is much slower paced, but comes home and like eats a sandwich and drinks a Coke and has Doritos, and it's just like this person is producing crazy high quality food at work, and when they're done, all they want to do is eat the easiest thing possible. And that feels very true and feels very real. Along with like the general loneliness of not having coworkers, there's also this like deep desire to connect with other people that do something like this. I don't really have a solution for it, but if you're a creative and you're making videos like this, let me know if you've figured out how to connect with people like it. Like I don't have any friends who make videos like this. I'd love to have people to bounce ideas off of. I've been debating on like starting a Discord for food creators on YouTube. If you do that and this video reaches you, let me know if you'd be interested in it. Just something I'm trying to feel out, because I really do want to connect with other people that do this. It's hard to not think about people in your niche as like competition. I don't really see it that way. And so I'd love to talk with more people who do this and just have a fun space to like connect and just be coworkers, even though we're not coworkers. Like, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if it makes sense. Let me know if anybody would be even interested in that remotely, but it's something that I know I crave. And so I'm guessing other people want that too. One of the other things that you notice that I would put in the low category is there is no break between work and life. You are constantly able to work, and it's a good thing in some ways. Like, it is fun to be able to put effort into something that is yours and you are proud of. However, it's also pretty unhealthy when it's like you've worked Saturday, you've worked Sunday, you worked every day of the week, and you just never stop thinking about it. You're working after work because every time you eat something, you're thinking like, oh, this is a cool idea. Could I make a video out of this? You are sitting on the couch watching a show while you work at 9 o'clock at night. Like, it just doesn't end. It's a very like privileged thing to have that and to enjoy it, because some people do that for other people and some people do that in their jobs already, and that sucks. But it is something that you can't unplug from because it's you. I don't know how people figure out work-life balance when you are the product. What does work-life balance look like when you are so intertwined with your creativity and with your projects? I don't have an answer to that. I don't know if anybody really does. Like I mentioned earlier, it is so beautiful to be working on creative things. And then how do you disconnect yourself from that art to sort of just turn your brain off? Can you do that? I can't. I have a hard time turning my brain off in that way. And so often I'll have to like shut off and distract myself. Distraction doesn't really solve the problem. There's not really a lot of rest in distraction. So how do you rest when your whole working life is wrapped up in one thing? Before I get into the actual numbers of everything, there are some lessons that I picked up that I think will help you. The first is, if you want to do something like this, let's say it's make videos, let's say it's any other creative endeavor, and you are afraid of people judging you, you're afraid of starting, you're afraid because you don't know what to do, you're afraid because you're not good at it. Those fears are real, and I want to say that to you. And I feel those, I felt those. However, although those feelings are rooted in reality and are real, they don't have to dictate what you do. So you can still act and do those things while being afraid. For me, Genuinely, like, I'm so glad I started when I did. However, it is a regret of mine that I hadn't started earlier. If I had started back in 2015 when I had dreamt of doing this, I would venture to guess I would have already made it by now. I can't do that. There's this old saying about the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, but the next best time is today. If you have this desire to do something, you will figure out pretty quickly that people are a lot more supportive and a lot less judgmental than you think they are. And people are usually pretty kind. Like, one of the first things that I noticed when I announced that I was leaving my job was just the outpouring of love and support for something that was ultimately pretty risky. There is just a lot of love and a lot of support from people that I had no idea had even like thought about this or had even like paid attention to me, which is cool and really, really delightful, and something that I wouldn't have had or noticed if I hadn't have taken that risk. There are so many people who have constantly talked about this idea. There are way smarter people who talk about this, like, do something even though you're afraid. That's not what I'm not a motivational YouTuber person, but I am here to say that, like, I get it. And I wish it had sat with me earlier, all that I had seen about fear, and I wish I had done it earlier. Do genuinely wish that. Like, there's a lot of this that's like, no regrets, I'm glad I did it. But in reality, no, I wish I had done it before. Do with that information what you will, take it as you will, get started. Like, genuinely, if you've got something creative that you want to do, you should do it. Genuinely, you should do it. If you are specifically in the cooking YouTube space, recipe test as much as you can, I guess, is a thing. If you're in like recipe development, that is the one thing that I constantly get behind on because it takes time, where like writing is easy. You can sit at a computer and write a script. You can film in a day. But recipe testing, if you're making a multi-step recipe, you can't just do that in a day. You have to make it once and then fix those things that were broken and then make sure that the recipe works for everybody, which is something that I feel like I am guilty of. Like, I feel like I've put out recipes that are a little bit more challenging. If you are going to do food YouTube, do with that what you will, because it is difficult to recipe test and you need time for it. Editing, there's lessons that I've picked up along the way. Really, there's a bunch of good free editing software out there. You don't have to pay for anything up front. For the specifics of camera work in editing, YouTube has a ton of good content and a ton of great tutorials for this type of stuff. This video is not sponsored by anybody. This is all just my own experience and my own story. I used Skillshare a long time ago to help with learning how to use a camera, to learn lighting, to learn filming and editing. That was super helpful. There are a bunch of editing YouTubers that I like that I'll probably link to down below that have helped me immensely. I think everybody and their mother has watched Peter McKinnon, and he used to do a ton of Adobe tutorials, which were super helpful. Yeah, pick a software you like, learn it camera-wise. iPhone cameras are so good at this point that you could do pretty much everything on a camera. My tripod setup was really crappy for the longest time. Do what you can with what you have. Like, seriously, genuinely. Yeah. Hey, bud. Her. Okay, don't actually eat it. Hey. Was that a mistake? Maybe. Wow. Stick time. For all of you people who use chapters, welcome. I'm sure you probably skipped ahead to here to see the important and fun stuff, which is the data and the numbers, and the reason you probably clicked on this video. I do the same, so no shame here. I want to talk to you guys about the fun numbers and just the numbers in general behind my channel. That way you can see, if you're at a place of kind of striving for monetization, what it looks like to be monetized in the first couple months. Keep in mind that some people blow up immediately and take off. Some people go slower, some people go faster. This is just where I'm at at a kind of steady pace of growth. Each of these are going to be by 365 days, basically the last year from today, which is April 4th. I'm gonna go by that because I'm on my phone and that's easier for data for YouTube on your phone. In the last 365 days, I've gotten 161,000 views, which is I'm very excited about, very glad and honored by. It feels like a ton. Again, I know there are gonna be people who are at the same level who have way more, people who are at the same level who have less. This is just where I'm at, and I feel very honored by that number. So there are very high spikes and very low valleys. There are certain months that were just insane for me and certain months that were not as good. I think in everyone's mind, YouTube is just a game of, it's like the hockey stick where you slowly are adding and it just grows and grows and you hope that it continues to grow like that. Where in reality, it is like a bunch of steps where you're like, okay, I'm here, nothing's really happening, and then I step. And then I'm here, and then I step. And it just kind of feels more like that, at least in my experience. I have doubled my entire subscriber base in the last year. which is huge for me. Again, some people will 100 times it in a year, some people will 10 times it, some people won't change it all in a year. About a year ago, I was at like 800 subscribers, and now I'm at about 1,600 subscribers, which kind of massive. It feels like a big jump in subs for me because it took me like 2.5 years to even get to 800. And let alone to double that in a year. Feels really nice. Thank you guys if you're here and subscribed. I really genuinely appreciate it. It means a lot. For revenue, this is the number that people want to know. And this is the one that maybe you'll be surprised by, maybe you won't be. Based on viewership, you can probably do the math on it. So for me, it took me about a month to get through the monetization like checklist of things to do. So I technically hit the threshold in June. It took me all of July to basically get done and get approved. And so August is when I first started making money. It has been $200, so $198.55. I'm gonna round up a little bit there to get to about $200. It is not a full salary. I've mentioned that I left my job to do this full time, and this is how much money I've made doing it, which is a little scary and a little frightening, but also it's kind of honoring to be able to even do this and to make any money whatsoever. These are things that will continue hopefully to grow over time. These videos live on the platform forever and they're monetized. So as people find it, hopefully they'll watch more of it. That is the revenue thing. People who are at my level probably have made way more than I have. People who are at my level have probably made way less than I have. This is just what it looks like to be where I am, getting about the viewership that I usually do. Most months for videos themselves, I'm getting roughly 5,000 views a month or so, maybe a little bit less depending on the average month for long form content. This is not really including shorts. Shorts is its own thing that I'm still trying to figure out, and I think everybody is trying to figure out. Just gonna keep it kind of long form for this discussion at least. On average, that's usually like $18 a month or something, $15 to $18 a month that I'm bringing in. Click-through rate, I don't know if you guys really care or want to know. My average has been about 7% over the last year, which is pretty decent, it feels like. I've got one video that's done really well, which going back to my entire discussion before this, is a video from really early on, which just kind of proves that you don't really get to say or control what happens and what people resonate with. It's all kind of a crapshoot. So that's fine. And so that has helped sort of in general with my click-through rate because that video consistently gets views, consistently gets searched, and people consistently watch it. On average, over the last year, my playback cost, so how much advertisers pay to be featured in front of my videos or during my videos, is about $9.50 or so. The math works about this way. So every 1,000 views, an advertiser has to pay about $9 to $10 to be featured. I get about half of that. And those are the numbers. Like I said, here I am in all of my 1,600 subscriber glory. If you're here and you subscribe, I really genuinely appreciate it because you have helped along this journey immensely. This is me trying to open up the conversation, hopefully for other YouTubers to really talk through where they're at and what it's been like on their journey to get there and really what it's like in their shoes, because this industry is weird and hard, and I think vulnerability goes a long way. Maybe that's the Brene Brown fan in me, but I think people should be a little bit more open about this stuff in general. Be willing to talk through where things are great and where things are hard, and be really open-handed with all of that information. I've been lucky and very blessed to have people help and support on Patreon. So I bring in some money each month on Patreon, a little about $200 a month, which has helped immeasurably because it's offset the cost of groceries. It's allowed me to continue doing this and to continue growing without just completely being in the red. So that's been a big blessing and really genuinely appreciate it. If you've sat through this whole video and you've thought, hey, that's not a ton of money, I'd love to support, you can look at the Patreon. I think it's just patreon.com/KameronMarty. Just go check it out. There are some cool benefits, but if not, that's okay. Like, no pressure. That's not why I made this video. I really hope this video was helpful and that you got something out of it. If you really enjoyed it and just kind of want to see more of me, there's a ton of cooking stuff on the channel in general. This one is a very specific video that's different than all the others that I've done. So check out the other ones. You may find something that you really enjoy, maybe a recipe that resonates with you. I just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the amazing people that support me financially on Patreon. It means a lot. And in general, I'm just really appreciative to be on this journey, and I hope you guys enjoy. Cheers.